Who doesn't like a good ghost story? This Halloween, I asked you floofs to send me some of your spookiest ghost stories, and today, I'm gonna read some of them.
I hope you got your shitting pants on. What? Because you are about to shit your pants.
Alright, so our first story was sent in by Adriamidas Wolf. A few years back, in the middle of the night, I woke up to get a drink and I saw the printer turn on, and it started vibrating. I was curious and got closer, and it started shooting out papers. I still don't know why it did that. Scared the hell out of me seeing that. That printer sounds like it was on week 10 of NoFap. My advice for your haunted printer problem is replace the paper with plenty of tissue paper. Jokes aside, that's pretty freaky. Whatever you do, don't invest in a 3D printer. Who knows what that'll do? Alright, so next up we have Toby's story. For about a week, I would wake up every morning and come downstairs only to find the TV on and playing loud static or radio channels. We always turn the TV off before bed. Super freaky. What the heck is going on with all of these electronics? Are you guys buying your tech from the cable guy or something? If there's one thing the movie Poltergeist taught me about static televisions, it's don't go near static televisions. Okay, so this one was sent in by V Sparrow. So a few months ago, my younger sister stopped sleeping in her room because she kept seeing a shadowy figure resembling a little girl. She said it would peek out of the closet or hide by the door. I thought it was BS, so I ignored it. A few weeks later, I heard giggling around me while I was in bed. I thought it was my sisters playing tricks on me, but I never heard the door open. I tried to sleep, but I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around to see a small shadowy figure. It did seem to be a kid, but it didn't have any clothes or hair. I panicked and turned around for a few seconds. I turned back around and it was gone. I immediately told my parents. They woke up my siblings and I explained it. My youngest sister began to cry. The next day my parents got sage or something to bless the house. Nothing happened for a while, but recently it's picked up again. My mum got bit by something. Not like a bug, something with teeth. I think if you invited me to crash at your place, I'd have to sleep probably outside. Here's a thought though. If you don't own a fursuit and you want one, how about renting that haunted room out this October? You could make a killing. Actually, that could occur quite literally. No, ignore that advice. Bad advice. Sleeping outside, maybe a better alternative. Geez, some of these stories are really making the hairs on my ears stand up. Okay, so next up we have Husk's story. I was at my nan's when there was a huge thunderstorm. We planned to stay the night when all of a sudden I heard a noise come from upstairs. So I went to investigate. When I looked out of the window, I saw a figure standing on the street corner looking into the house through one of the windows. I looked away for a slight second and boom, there was no one there. Gone in a heartbeat. Then all of a sudden I heard a loud thunder strike, so I ran down the stairs as fast as I could, crying my eyes out in fear. Wow, yeah, that's pretty creepy. Are you sure it wasn't your nan? She's out there banging on the window yelling, "Let me in, it's pissing down out here, you've locked the front door." Our next spooky story was sent in by Zeldy Snow Leopard. About 5 years ago, me and my dad were in a restaurant minding our own business when a guy dressed up as a clown came up to us and asked us for money. My dad declined and the clown got really angry and pulled a gun on me, demanding that if he didn't get the money, he would shoot me in the head. My dad then gave him the money and the clown went away. Wow, there's nothing funny about that, that's for sure. That's one clown I wouldn't mess with. Well, there's a few, but that's definitely not one of them. Where the heck were you? In a rundown diner in Detroit? Pennywise was doing lines of coke down a back alley and thought, you know, these drain gigs just aren't doing it for me anymore. I'll use this gun I found instead. That's a crazy story, dude. Honestly, I'm glad you're okay though. The next spooky story is by Mr. Mad Fox. So I recently went on a trip with my family to a forest in the mountains. We stayed at a little cabin. The thing is that to get to the cabin, we needed to climb a stony path up the mountain. At a certain point, my family and the guy guiding us to the cabin stayed behind. Then I decided to go ahead. Somewhere along the way, I clearly heard someone shouting my name. Now here's the spooky part. My family and the guy were quite far back. The exact same thing happened to my friend Alan. He was walking through the mountains when he could hear someone calling his name. All he could hear was Alan, Alan,
Alan! Alan! Alan!
Alan, Alan, Alan. I mean, it's either a very clever marmot or that mountain is definitely haunted. Probably best not to go back and find out. Wouldn't it be funny if Mr. Mad Fox's name IRL was Alan? Okay, so Spoopy Celio writes, in the middle of the night while I was camping, I heard a rustling noise around my campsite. I went to see what it was and nothing was there. I go back to sleep and I hear it again. I check again and I see a raccoon stealing my food. That's not scary, that's just plain adorable. Honestly, we needed a light-hearted story because these next ones are, in my opinion, probably the scariest. So buckle up. Alrighty then, so up next is Robbie's story. One time when I was in bed, I had my legs laying down flat and suddenly felt a harsh tug on them. Nobody was in my room except for me. Since then, I sleep with my legs close to my body, like in a little ball formation. Be careful, Robbie, you never know what it could be. It could be a raccoon. Our next spooky story is from Spoopy Code. So for a while, I've had some paranormal stuff happen to me, such as shadow figures, footsteps when I'm home alone, stuff like that. A few years ago, my friend Nate was having a birthday party, so there was a few of us having one giant sleepover. It started off as a normal day and all, cake, fun, yelling at each other because we lost in games, etc. Towards the end of the night, we all started to wind down, and I was on the floor scrolling through Instagram when out of nowhere I felt a pretty rough grab on my leg. Of course, I freaked out because I've never had anything physical happen to me. It brought me to tears, which was something to see according to Nate. He and our friend said this was the first time I've ever broke down that hard. Of course, that set everyone off. I got up instantly and looked around. Nothing. Everyone was on the couch and I was the only one on the floor. Then, Nate's sister's friend felt a burning on her arm. She looked down, of course, scratches. At this point, we were all freaking out. I didn't know what to do. Nate crawled under the covers. We were all close to tears. Stuff happened for about the next hour or so, and that has been the most paranormal thing that has happened in my life. Okay, can we just stop reading these now? These are horrible. Kudos to you if you're still watching. You're very brave. Honestly, an experience like that would make me want to sell the house and probably move to another country. Or planet. Okay, the next spooky story is by Mono, who tells me he has worked in an underground tourist attraction. So before tours commence underground, we must ensure that everything is okay. So one of us has to go down and do checks. Now bear in mind that there is no electric lights. I was alone and only had a torch. So I go down to do my checks in the underground tunnels and I get to a section that we have walled off for another company that does live action roleplay. Now this is the start of the day and midweek, so no one was roleplaying next door, and I was the first in the tunnels. I unlock the doors, I get to this point near the wall and suddenly stop as it feels weird, but it's never felt like this before. I've been down there hundreds of times. I stand still for a short while and suddenly hear shuffling behind the wall, as if there was someone behind it moving about. I get a bit creeped out and go up and tell the manager. We go to check all entrances to the tunnels and every door was locked except the one I opened. There is no access behind that wall that anyone could open to get in. We check the tunnels and find nothing despite knowing what I heard. I've asked other tour guides about that area and a few have said that the area does feel off to them as well. Geez, that is pretty messed up. The only thing I can think of that might explain the shuffling on the other side of that wall is maybe LMFAO is behind it partying like crazy. To me that seems the most logical explanation, only because I don't think my mind can handle the other possibilities. It could have been a raccoon eating Spoopy Celio's food. Let's just move on. Yeah. Okay, so this story is by Kyo. A few years ago I did a ghost tour with my mother. Since we were in a very historic area, I got to see some old houses that were rumoured to have ghosts in them. Throughout the entire tour I was quite skeptical about ghosts being real. After all, I've never seen one before and I didn't think I would see one that night. Then, later on in the tour guide let me hold an EMF reader, a device that's used to detect electrical current and can also detect if there's a ghost in the area. After I was holding the reader for a few minutes, it starts beeping like crazy. At first I thought it was because I was near a light post. However, once I stepped out onto the street where I wasn't near any light posts, it still kept on beeping. Everyone in the tour group looked at me and I was quite surprised that it wouldn't stop beeping, especially since I wasn't near any electrical devices. I then felt a cold hand grab my wrist and pull me forward. The force was so strong that I moved forward a few steps. I also knew it wasn't anyone in the group as they were all about 10 feet away from me. My mother told me to say something along the lines of, "You're not a part of this world, I am." After I said that, the EMF reader completely stopped beeping. It was one of the only times I can recall where I had some sort of interaction with a ghost. No, okay, just no. That is creepy. Oh my god, I just thought of something that would make this story even worse. Changing the light posts in this story to siren heads. Why the heck did I just think of that? And lastly, we have a story sent in by Misfit the Fox. I live in the house my mum grew up in when she was 16 and had a paranormal experience. She was in her room one day and she turned towards the bed and she saw a pair of glowing red eyes. She couldn't move. She was trapped. From the eyes, a body started to form that resembled a demonic-like figure. She, a non-religious woman, started praying. She prayed and hoped it would go away. Then after praying, it went away. She never told her parents because they would never have believed her. When we moved into that house, she had a priest come and bless it. However, it's still really haunted. You can hear footsteps and tapping at night. And last Last year for 2 weeks every night something would touch and feel the back of my neck. I came back from holidays last month and found fingerprints on the window that had developed whilst we were gone. My grandfather died in what is now my room. I wasn't told this until 7 years after his death. That's when we moved in. Well, that answers that one. I'm not sleeping tonight. I'm also now really scared there might be a raccoon in my kitchen eating all of my pizza and food and stuff. So I'll be checking that in just a sec, I'm sure. If someone has eaten all of my pizza, honestly, that would be the scariest thing of all. Actually, I better go check. That was the last story I had time for, and I want to thank everyone who sent their stories in. I have at least another video going up before Halloween, including a spoopy animation, so look out for that. And again, as always, I want to thank all of my patrons for helping videos like this to be made. If you want to become a patron, there is a link in the description and you'll get access to Patreon exclusive benefits as well as discounts on merch and your own role in my Discord server. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you all in my next video. See ya!